Hey guys, my name is Karen and this is the Trucking Trials, where we talk about everything from company driving to owner-operators. So, in this video, I'm going to tell you about how I got into truck driving school and how I started the process of becoming a truck driver. So if you're here and you want to hear about some of my stories and things that I went through, then go ahead and keep watching. Alright guys, so good morning. Hope y'all have your coffee and y'all are ready to sit and chillax with me real quick. So, the first thing I want to get into is how I started the process of going to truck driving school. So, both of my parents are truck drivers. My dad has been a truck driver my entire life, and my mom has been a truck driver for a little over 10 years. So, I pretty much always knew that I was going to drive a truck. I just didn't know when I was going to start. Well, when I turned 21, I started looking into truck driving companies that would send me to school, so that way I wouldn't have to pay to go to school, because at 21, living on your own and not really getting support from other people, it is really difficult to come up with, you know, $5,000 or whatever your tuition in your area costs to go to school is hard to do. So, I looked around I looked at Swift, I looked at Schneider, JB Hunt, pretty much every trucking company, and they all have a lot in common. One stood out to me, and I will get into that, what stood out to me about it, but the majority of schools that you go to, you work a contract. You will work a contract with any school with any company that puts you through school. You're going to work a contract, period. Now, the determining factor for me of which company I wanted to go to was if I had to pay for the school out of my check. Because if I'm working for you, making you money for so many months, I don't feel like I want to pay you money to go to school, because I'm basically paying you double, because I'm making you so much money because you're not paying me as much as somewhere else would. So, I looked around and I ended up stumbling upon CR England. Now, I always thought that I was going to end up working for Swift as my first trucking company, and fast forwarding just a little bit, later on, I did work for Swift, but I started with CR England. So I saw CR England on an ad when I was looking for trucking companies to work for, or trucking companies that would put me through school. And again, I was 21. So only being 21, I really thought that I had to find a company that was going to put me through school, because I thought, because I was so young, that it was going to be difficult for me to get in somewhere. I did have previous accidents, I had speeding tickets. I had a horrible, horrible driving record when I was younger. And so I was very, very nervous about that aspect, but I wanted to get into truck driving to start making money. I needed to make money. I needed to make money as soon as possible. So I found CR England. When I found CR England, I called them and I said, okay, this is the situation. I am not 21 yet, because I was only 20 at the time, but I was a month away from being 21. I said, I am not 21 yet. What do I need to do to come work for you? And they said, well, give us a call in about 2 weeks, and then when you give us a call, we'll set you up, and then by the time you get to the school and you do this and you do that, you'll be good to go. So I called them back 2 weeks later, and they started the process. So when they start the process, they are going to run your background check, your MVR, which is your motor vehicle report, in case you are unaware, which your motor vehicle report is the report of any accidents or tickets or anything that you have on your record, for those of you who don't know. For those of you who do know, the more you know. So, they run that, they do all that, is what it is. And then, depending on where you are, they will send you to a school that is closest to you. Now, I ended up going to school at a place called Drivetrain in Jackson, Tennessee. I was living in Nashville at the time. I had just moved back from Kansas. I was living in Nashville, and they picked my truck driving school to be Drivetrain. So I started Drivetrain, went there. I did not take my permit test before I went. They did not require me to take my permit test before I went. But Sierra England sometimes does require you to have your permit before you go to driving school. I would recommend getting your permit before you go to driving school, because it's just going to put driving school, it's going to get you through so much faster rather than you sitting and waiting a week to get your permit when you could have just came with it. You don't have to go to school to get a permit. So, I started school. I got there on a Sunday night and then started school the next Monday, or like the next day on Monday. So when you start school, you do stuff in school, right? You're going to read the book, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You're just going to do the basic stuff to get your permit. It's just a class, basic, simple class. So I did that for 3 days. And then, I actually ended up, instead of taking my permit test on a computer, I took it on paper. They required us to take it on paper because we were in a classroom. I have the worst test anxiety that you will ever imagine in your life. So I took it on paper, and what did I do? I kept erasing what I thought was wrong. Well, I chose the correct answer, and I'd erase it, overthinking myself, thinking that I was wrong, and I would pick the wrong answer. So I passed 2 of the 3 tests on my first try. So there is 3 tests when getting your permit. There is general knowledge, air brakes, and combination. I passed air brakes and combination, which they say are the 2 hardest tests to pass. I passed both of them the first try. General knowledge got me because it is not as general as people say it is. So I studied the other 2 so hard, thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to pass those. And general knowledge is general knowledge. Well, I don't think I studied quite as much as I should have, so I ended up failing 2 times. So I took it the first time, failed it, went back, and when you get your permit, when you go in to take your permit test, if you pass like 2 of the 3 tests, you only have to take the one that you failed the next time. So I only had to retake general knowledge. So I retook general knowledge again the next day because they allowed us to take it again the next day. So I took it again the next day, and believe it or not, I failed again. I should have waited, so I wouldn't have had to wait 7 days, and I should have taken it the following day instead of the next day. I should have taken it 2 days later, but I didn't, so I actually ended up failing again. So then at that point, Tennessee requires you take 7 full days off. You cannot take the test for 7 full days. And then after the 7 full days, you are able to retest. So I did my 7 full days. I studied every day for the 7 full days, freaking out. And then I actually went into the DMV because when I took the paper test, they allowed me to see what I had got wrong, and when I got it wrong, I realized that I had originally picked the correct answer. Well, when I take the test on the computer, I don't swap the answers. I click which one I think it is and I press next. So I actually would have passed the very first time had I not erased the correct answers. So moving right along, time number 3, third time is a charm. I went to the DMV and took it on their computer and passed first shot, no problem. I actually didn't miss any questions, which, you know, you win some, you lose some. So I didn't miss any questions on my 3rd test, and got my permit. Now I can start the actual driving portion of school. So the driving portion of school, you go in and literally what it sounds like, you start learning to drive. They put you in a truck. They start with backing. So you're going to do, every school is different. Every state requires different things. Tennessee, their backing courses only require a straight back, an offset, and what they call an alley dock, or some states call it a 90. So I don't know, it just depends on where you're at. Those are the two names that I've heard it called, but an alley dock is, you'll learn about it. I'm not going to teach you about the driving aspect because you'll learn that in school. So they teach you, Tennessee, those were the only three that were required. Sometimes parallel park, sometimes a bunch of other things are required, but they just weren't in Tennessee. So I did not have to take that part. So I did do school for 10 days of driving, the driving aspect. I did the backing for the first week, or the first 5 days, and then the second 5 days was on the road. So we were on the road driving. I ended up taking my test on the Friday of the following week on the 10th day. I passed it the first time, didn't even have any issues. I actually had a really, really great score. I only got 1 point, and it was because I was grinding the gear one time in the test. So that it was a really old International though, so the guy wasn't even upset with me about it. It just was what it was, and he didn't have a choice as a examiner. He had to give me the point. So, which I wasn't mad at it. I still passed. It was no issues. So from there, I actually caught a bus the next day. I caught a bus to Salt Lake City, Utah. Sierra England, in case y'all are not aware, Sierra England is based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And then you will go ahead and go up there to their main school, where some of you, if you do choose to go to Sierra England, they have an actual school in Salt Lake City at their like main headquarters. So some people will go to school there. It just depends on where you're at, where you will go to school, or what schools are full. So that is neither here nor there though. So I went ahead and made my way up there to the school, and from there I actually ended up waiting for 8 days for a trainer. So with Sierra England, you go through phases of training. There is phase 1 and phase 2. When you start the phases of training, phase 1 is where you are with a trainer who is teaching you how to properly drive on the road in special conditions. When you go to driving school, they teach you just enough to pass the test. When you get with a trainer, they teach you truly what goes on out on the road. So I did go ahead and get in a truck with a trainer. There are people that will go through multiple trainers. I was in the truck with a male, for the women out there who are nervous about that. It really just depends on the man that you are with. I truly enjoyed my trainer. My trainer was married, had a wife, had kids. He did not try to, he was not creepy. He didn't try to do anything dirty with me. He wasn't that way at all. He was a great guy. He was very knowledgeable, and he really gave me great information. So I actually, to this day, still talk to him. Because he was really an awesome guy. Now, if you go out and you get your trainer and you really like your trainer, it is a bond that you can create that later on down the road, when you have questions, when you get out of training, it's going to help you, because you have somebody in the business that can help you, that's been in it longer than you have, that can help you with any simple question that you have. So that way you're not calling the company, oh, I don't know this, oh, I don't know that. And you will be able to have, your own contacts. So I actually still do talk to my trainer every once in a while, and that was 3.5 years ago. So moving right along, went into training with him. Phase 1 of training is 30 days. It's 180 hours, but which normally goes out to about 30 days. But they have the option, if you do well enough with them in the first 3 weeks, that they can actually let you go a week early. So you can go out and you can actually start making the big, I say the big bucks for being brand new. So you do get paid for training it's for OJT. In training, you do get paid. It's like $10 an hour, or some for every hour you drive, or every hour you're on duty, or some something like that. So it's not an overabundance of money, but it is enough for you to get through the weeks that you're out there. You do get paid every week as a truck driver, just to let you know. So that really does help a lot. So then once you get out of training, you go into what is phase 2, which is somebody who knows just a little bit more than you. They've been driving probably 2 weeks longer than you. So you get in the truck and y'all help each other. And that's how you go from there on out. You get in a truck with them, y'all help each other, you get your own truck, and you move on from there. So you will be a phase 2 trainer at some point if you decide to go to Sierra England. Unless, I mean, I guess they decide to put you as solo right out of phase 2. That is very seldom, but I mean, anything can happen. So you are actually able to look at other fleets. Now, when you go to Sierra England, when you ask, how much are you going to pay me a mile? Because you get paid by the mile when after your phase 1 training, you get paid by the mile. They're going to say some ridiculous amount, like 37 cents or lower, more than likely, per mile to drive for them. Now, the kicker, you can go to other fleets throughout the company with a little bit of experience, and you can actually get paid more a mile. Right out of phase 2 of training, I had been driving about 3 months, and I was bringing home $1,100 to $1,500 a week, and all I was doing was running for Walmart. That's all I did, run from Walmart. I was a solo driving less than 3,000 miles a week, and I was bringing home between $1,100 and $1,500 a week, no problems. I have check stubs. If y'all would like to see them, I can scroll back for 3 years and I can find them for you. So that is that. So after is the end of the video. Thank you so much for coming over, hanging out. This is the Trucking Trials. My name is Karen, and if you could go ahead and click the red subscribe button and hit that notification bell, it is a free way of helping your girl out, and it also will get you notified of any content that I put out on my channel. Right now, I'm a little scattered. We are going to try to start putting content out more often. So I will see you in our next video.